Welcome back to the shop again, guys. I don't know what it is lately, but it seems like any machine or something that I get turns into weeks worth of research for no reason. You saw the nightmare I went through in a couple of videos ago trying to get a simple laser to work on the 3018 CNC. This is the same thing. Picked up, you can tell by the title, a universal tool grinder. Turned into weeks worth of research and would not have happened if it wasn't for input from multiple sources. So you're going to see everything in one video, all brought together, and all the answers. So hope you enjoy. See you later. Well, was really nervous since other ones that I've seen on YouTube came smashed and broken. A guy in the styrofoam kind of slid around. There's a little mark on the side, but the cardboard isn't really dented. So, I mean, it looks really nice. Definitely heavy. It's supposed to be 165 pounds. So I have no way of moving it as of yet. Wait for my neighbor. And came with a whole box of wheels and gadgets. Looks like they kind of gave some really nice, almost nice screwdrivers. A CD that came with it. Even says Shars on it. So this is going to be really interesting. I haven't gone through any of it yet to see what's what, but I liked it because it had the 5C collets. So I've got the whole set. You're supposed to be able to do drill bits, end mills, you name it. So I guess I gotta carefully see about getting it out of the box now. Prepared this time for all this. Paper towels, gloves. First, I was very nervous about ordering this thing. It came from Illinois Shars, because I saw the Amateur Redneck Workshop. His came in a wood crate, but the machine evidently broke loose from its mounting bolts and put a hole in the side of the wood crate, and it was broken when he got it. So I was holding my breath with this machine, but you saw it came in a cardboard box. It was well packaged. Next is a lot of other YouTube channels. I've heard people refuse to buy from Shars because their shipping is outrageous. And yes, I was choking on this. $213 to ship it here. Using a company called Hercules, who I never heard of in my life, but so if you subscribe to their newsletter, you get 10% off. The machine was like $900. This came to $1,046, including the shipping. So I don't know what any of this stuff is. I'm seeing some reviews on the parts from Shars that it was pot metal and broken, but no, this is not junk, I'll tell you. I don't know what any of this is yet, so it'll be interesting to learn and share all of this with everybody, since it's supposed to be able to do everything. This looks gorgeous, you know? Wow, it clamps something. Okay, so, and oh yeah, it is heavy. I cannot pick it up. I can pick up half of it about, so okay, this guy is okay, whatever it is. I need another paper towel. I don't want to put this on my bench carpet. Oh yeah, so threading dies were dirt cheap since I'm paying a fortune for shipping. Quarter 20, quarter 28, $4 each. And they're split too, and they look beautiful. Are they China? Probably, I'm sure. Quarter 28, quarter 20. So evidently they opened up the box and threw these on the top of it to ship it to me. This guy I'm real curious about. Very heavy. How's it sealed? Oh, staple. Okay. So this is definitely not pot metal. Whoa. Okay. Wow. Well oiled. So it's a great machine, I'll tell you this, so far. Oh, this must be for, I think, sharpening end mills. And like I said, I'm really glad it is a 5C collet set, because all the other ones I've seen are this oddball collet. So, wow, ooh, boy, is that smooth. No play in it at all. So this will be interesting. Oh, another piece still in there. Jeez, and look at this surface. Oh, this, okay, that tightens up a collet, I know that, so I don't know what all the grooves and stuff are for. What is this? Oh, this is one of those pointer things for lining up the flutes, is my guess. Wow. Definitely oiled, so I'm going to have to take all this apart and be wiping it all off. So, okay, that's the next part. What else is there? There's this for sharpening drill bits. I'm going to get rid of the drill doctor. That thing is worthless if you ask me. My opinion. This must be the drill bit. Somebody was saying that it's really complicated to set up, but holy cow. This is not breaking, so I don't know what that comment was about. Jeez, it's very well made, guys. Very well made. Kind of a funky color, whatever that is. But, interesting. And I have no idea where I'm going to put this in the shop. It's got to go on that heavy bench over, on the other side of the shop. I don't want to get grease on this guy, but a nice wheel. Hope these guys are in balance. Probably not. So I may be making some adapters to get them balanced. Wow. So this would be interesting. 100x15. Who knows? Yeah, all Chinese writing on it. And they said a spare belt. That must be the spare belt for the motor. These guys go away. This is the wrench, I guess, for changing the, geez, who's calling? Changing the wheels on the machine. Yeah, too greasy to get this back. Oh, there, I got it. Got it open. Everything's oiled to death here. Interesting, huh? Yeah. Alright, well, I just wanted to share all the parts and pieces so far. Ooh, nice wrenches, too. So, let's see where it goes from here. Okay, first issue. Noticed, not really an issue or problem. This is for sharpening or making your own cutters, but you can see the size of this thing. This is meant for huge, half inch, 1 inch, I don't know, something. So, not a big deal. I've got a chunk of aluminum, and I'll just wind up making another one. That, it's a simple dovetail on it, so that's no big. Put that on the side. Well, after less than an hour worth of use, the light bulb decided to burn out. This guy just unscrews. It's threaded in here. This is the part that you're looking at with the light behind it. Big O-ring there, so it just comes off. The light bulb, I took it all apart to see what's going on, and this is a 12 volt. It doesn't say, this has plus and minus, so this is telling me this is DC. The manual that came with the machine shows a transformer running to this AC power. So I'm not sure what gives, but I put power supply on at 12 volts, and yeah, one of the LEDs is dead. Since they're all in series, everybody's dead. You know, you can put it across each one to see. Put a black mark on it. That one died. Pathetic soldering in here. I thought maybe it was a bad solder joint. No. So I'll be calling Char to see what they can do. I have seen an equivalent ones, 12 volt AC on Amazon. It's like $17, and you get this 8-pack. So that's on the side. I've got a different light over there now to work with. I've been trying to start figuring out how to sharpen end mills, since I've got a bunch of them that I had fried years ago on steel and stuff. The first one I was trying was center cutting, and that's difficult, so I kind of gave up on that. I was going to go over to a metric non-center cutting that I had that's fried, because the entire center of the cutter is missing. So it's easy to just do the 4 flutes. Problem I discovered is this is you just unscrew the handle. This is the guy that captures the 5C collets, and it's doing it on the inside. And a number of the collets work fine, but the end mill that I wanted to do is 13 millimeters, right? Yeah, 12. Why is this a 12? It's a 13, whatever. But it won't go in all the way. And the problem is not this guy, it's the threads. Because this guy goes all the way in on quite a few of my collets, the 5C collets, but this particular one it jams on. So I'm figuring I could either make another one of these, but these threads are correct. So this guy just kind of pokes out a little bit, so I'm figuring 1 1/4 piece of aluminum. I'm just going to make a spacer so that this will bypass this problem for now. Maybe in the future I'll make another one of these since I now know how to turn threads. But so onward and upward, I just need to make my spacer. Thought I'd share this should you guys decide to take the bottom off. The reason I did was because this knob for moving on the bar here was incredibly difficult in one direction, really easy in the other. But so you just remove the 4 bumpers, there they are. And the interesting thing is, zoom in on that, clearly states 12 volts, 3 watts. So I was really lucky that I bought the 3 watt bulbs and not the 4 watt from Amazon. They did arrive, and they are exactly what was in there, so I'm happy with that. But the reason, I don't know if you can see in the dark, this spring is ridiculous. It was over here on this pin down there. I'll show you what I had to make to get it off, a giant pry bar. That spring is insanely tough, which is why it was difficult. So I'm just going to get rid of this guy and put a spring kind of straight to this screw. Got one on the floor here. That's what's going to go in there a lot easier, and you don't need that much force. So just wanted to share that, and it's a massive motor that's in there too. Just some items to take note of here with this machine. First, removing the wheel, everything. This is open, so all the grain junk is going in here. I know it. My particular machine did come with a plate, a tin plate on the bottom, so it's holding it. I've seen other units where there's nothing on the bottom, so all the grit can come out. So I can see junk is all over here right now from grinding end mills. And the other bad thing is if you want to surface this, it flies everywhere. So I did use the shop vac to try to catch most of it, but it still flew everywhere. Another possible issue is the manual that came with this unit says this runs at 5,000 RPM. I did put the laser tack on this grinding wheel with the white tape on it, and yes, it's flying at 5,000 RPM, and the tape, it just flew off. So this is a lot of speed to me, in my opinion. So I'm looking for other wheels. This is a 1 1/4 inch diameter hole, or 31.75 millimeters. Good luck finding it. I've looked all over the place. You would think this would be some very popular size hole or bore, and it's not. So I've got this one, And this guy came with it, and it does say 31.75 millimeters, and this one came with it. But in looking for wheels, I started looking at the rating of them as far as RPM. The only place I could find the rating for this wheel or this wheel is Char's. They have it, and their description doesn't say, but it is a 5,300 RPM wheel. This wheel I cannot find a spec on, and I suspect it doesn't go that high, but this is the wheel they ship with the machine. Same way I cannot find this wheel on the Char's site or what its RPM is. This is the same company logo as the other wheel and same label, everything, so I suspect this is a 5,300 RPM wheel also. But I've got a lot of these guys already. This is the popular size. It's a 20 millimeter hole. These are all over the place. $10, $20, somewhere's in there, and I've got two of them. I did take one. Let me bring it over here. Since I couldn't find anything really 1 1/4, I took this guy and bored it out very carefully. And yeah, I'm within a half a thou. It just sneaks on there. So it's very difficult. You know, how do you capture this thing? How do you keep run out down? So I don't know how this one's going to work out yet. I haven't fired it up on the machine. It looks good visually when I put it on the machine, but the secret, when I started staring at this, that nobody I've seen, anybody talks about it, is a bolt here. Wait a minute. So let me tell you, this is loose already. Now this bolt, they had Loctited in here, so use a really good long Allen if you're going to break it loose. Don't have any play in there. This Allen wrench was actually bending until it finally snapped. And I've cleaned off the threads because it had the Loctite all over. There's still some dark red here. Cleaned this off, ran it in, pulled it out. There was more on it. So now, pretty much so, all the Loctite is gone. But now I'm looking at this going, I think this is a taper, and because there's another set of threads in there where it would pull this off. But I ran the bolt in there, and there's not that much of a difference in the diameter between this and the bolt, the larger bolt that's trying to hit the surface, so the threads started buckling, and I risked ruining the threads that are in there. So what I did was I put a gear puller. I put this guy back on there, and I put a gear puller on it, and boy, it took some force, but it snapped and it comes off. So you can buy this guy from Char's. I haven't looked many places. I'm thinking I'm going to buy this from Char's, and then I'm going to turn this down to 20 millimeters so I can hold all the other wheels that are a lot cheaper. And because, yeah, they factory put this on with such force, it's hard to get it off for the first time. I have a feeling, you know, I'll make a tool or something here that'll go in there, and it should be able to pop it off real easily from now on. But there's a little insight on what you can do with this machine. I'm still trying to figure out what the RPM ratings are on all these different wheels, because at this RPM, I mean, the tape flew off the wheel. So it's a lot of rotational inertia, and you'd have to change the pulley on the motor. Motor said it was running at like 3,400 or something like that. But if you wanted to slow it down, you'd have to probably just change the pulley on the motor. Okay, I'm going to cover every bit of this machine. What I've figured out here, break this into 2 sections so I know I've covered everything completely. Starting with the light, I did contact Char's. They did send me the replacement bulb. It's the correct one. It's DC 12 volts, 3 watts. Exact same thing. So Char's was on top of it. Fantastic customer support. They emailed me and responded to anything I asked for immediately. On the switch, I guess the factory just installs it wherever. Turns out this bottom nut is a lock nut. So what you do is just straighten out the gooseneck so it's pointing straight up. You can then lift up the corrugation here, or the plastic, loosen the nut, spin it around so that the switch would be on top. You can get a wrench on, there's a top section here, so it allows you to spin the threads around, put the lock nut back down, and you're done. So, light's fixed. Next, this guy is the diamond here. They give you a really nice big size diamond for dressing the wheel. It's very simple, of course, obviously. You just drop it down, and I did reface this. I haven't thought of any way of dressing this face yet, so that's the dresser. Next up, this knob is responsible for locking this guy. This guy, when you move it this way, the numbers are increasing and the wheel is going that way into the work. Remove this knob, there is a little brass wafer down in there. It's supposed to be sitting flat. Mine was kind of cocked at an angle, so I put it in there flat, and I generally just leave this guy loose for now. This guy, I don't know what it is. There's a set screw down in there. I removed it, looked down in there with a flashlight. I can't see anything. It doesn't go to the shaft that goes through here. So I just put the set screw back in. This guy is just plugs the hole. I probably should move, I'll leave it there. Plugs the hole. There is a hole in the shaft here. You put the screwdriver, the Phillips screwdriver that was supplied with my machine down in there. It goes through the hole as you spin this. Allows you to lock it so you can remove the wheel. Mine, unfortunately, when I look down in there, the hole is here to put the screwdriver in, but the hole in the shaft is over here. So I got to put mine in at an angle to get it down in there. What else am I going to talk about here? I got my cheat sheet. The diamond wheel, I've already covered everything on that. If it wasn't for Stefan Goswinter's video, I would never have thought, I don't think I would have ever thought to start looking at this to realize that you can get this hub off this machine. Now, my machine came with the 31.75 millimeter or 1¼ inch arbor thing, if you want to call it that. I do know Amateur Redneck Workshop, Harold, bought his machine, the U2 220 volt off of eBay. His came with the 20 millimeter. And his came with the wrench. Mine did not come with a wrench to remove the hub. So he sent me a picture and I wound up duplicating it. When I have the wheel off, his has a cone on it. I'll double check what's what and I'll put the cone on mine. So that's just heads up on this whole thing. What you don't know what you're going to get in the descriptions don't tell you whether you're going to get a 20 or a 1¼ arbor. Power switch is simple. I used to pry this down on my mill to get the power switch on, but this guy has an arrow and I realized, whoa, all you do is push it up. On, off, no brain. Went over to my mill. Dad, I've been jamming this for 4 years and lo and behold, all you do is lift it up. Okay, go figure. This one is a kick. This knob, as you turn it this way, is reverse of the other one. It's moving this assembly into the wheel. I forgot to mention, this guy, when I first got it, was stuck. They had the wheel jammed all the way that way. I didn't know which way to turn it to get it going because I just couldn't move it. So my particular machine, it was stuck, and once I figured it'd go this way, no, it's this way to get the wheel out. It's now the easiest thing in the world to move. This guy was a big story. I mean, you saw me playing with the spring, but okay, so you turn it this way. and your cutter is going into the wheel. This knob locks this shaft so it won't move. I leave this guy open all the time so I can move it. I advise too looking in here and setting the end of this shaft about in the middle. That way you can go, you have more room to go either way, and the same way with the wheel, I always keep it back that way. Because inevitably I've got to reposition something because I ran out of movement, room to move. So this moves this shaft. This is the magic that nobody talks about, and you can see it tilts the head. So if you're doing an end mill or something, I'll rotate it here. You have the end mill poking out, you can go in and out of the work or whatever you're doing. Now, the interesting part is after all this I did with this spring, if you go back and look at the video where I have the bottom open, the point where I zoom in on the spring, you'll see where that spring was, and it was at an angle. So that's why moving this one way, it went real easy because the spring is helping to pull it. Moving it the other way, you're fighting the spring. So what I wound up doing was I took a 1/4 inch 1144 rod, drilled a hole here, and ran the rod through. So now the spring is in the center. Now it's easy to go both directions. That spring was the one that I originally showed was way too weak. I finally got a spring where I had to use both hands to try to pull that rod up to get it through this hole over here. So that's how much force it takes. But then the funny part, ironic, I don't know, is I always see everybody, just plunging in. Well, you can't do that without this being free, because this locks this whole thing to this shaft. If you have this open, you can go left and right. So I'm wondering how they do that. I don't know whether their machine came with that spring or not, but if that spring's not there, now you can plunge in and out. I still have the spring in place because I kind of like doing this fine tuning. Without the spring, when you plunge, this becomes a stop, which keeps you from going in too far. So that's everything about that. Anything else in my note? Bottom knob tilt? Yeah, okay, so, all right, part 2 here. Let's talk about this guy. I do have my spacer in here because I talked about the problem with how this captured some of my 5C collets. So, starting at the top, I guess I'll leave it like this. This will lock it on every 7 degrees. So you just pull it out and you can move it. It also locks on every 10 digit, like 0 degrees, 10 degrees, 20 degrees, so on. It's at 150 right now. If you have it in this position, it now lets you rotate 180 degrees. And if you're all the way over here, you're just free spinning. So that's all this guy is. This guy, of course, locks the collet in place. I wish there was a way that I could lock this thing on 1 degree increments, because sometimes I want to just tilt something 1 degree and then lock it. As far as I can tell, there's no way to do that on this machine. This allows you to turn it. There is a stop at 90 degrees. I've checked a lot of this stuff with squares and so on, and it's within 1/2 degree. If you want to go the other further, there is a pin down here you can pull to release it so you can go all the way. So that's that. I guess I'll move it back out of the way. Whoop, lock this. This guy allows you to tilt it this way. So you've got full movements that way. Lock that down. Like I said, this is the handle for locking it on here. On mine, it's really hard. I got to crank like heck to get it to stay put. What else? I guess I got to take it back this way then, so you can kind of spin it around and see the different things. any which way pretty much you want to move this thing you can. I wish I could go up and down though, but there's no way to do that. Trying to get to the center of this cutting wheel, you have to wind up just pushing whatever you're cutting as far into the collet as you can, which allows you to tilt it further to get lower, you know, on the wheel. Also, I can see going through this wheel real quick because dressing it, cover whatever you don't want to get messed up, because like I said, this stuff flies everywhere. I already did a dovetail cutter on this machine. I'll show some videos on this in the future. But yeah, it wore quite a bit of the wheel out, so I had to redress it and whatever. Okay, so I've got all that. Now, knob down here locks this. This allows you to go left and right. I'll unlock it, right? Yeah, you can just move it. Can you see it moving? Yeah, I guess you can see it moving. So there's actually a gib in there, gib screws for adjustment. This locks the left and right movement, and this sits on the gib here, so it locks this movement, which is moved by, this knob. This guy has this piston thing with a groove in it, and I'm not sure exactly what it's about, but this sits in the groove and locks that piston. Now you can use this. You have to loosen this guy. You use this to go left and right, or now it's left and right because of the way it's turned. If you loosen this, then you should, is this guy loose? Yeah. It's pretty tough. Oh, I've got the gib real tight. So now it will snap in that groove, so you have major distances to travel. So that's kind of, oh wow, screw this guy all the way in. That's it, I think, of everything I can talk about on the machine. I did make my own sticker to just write down all the specs. 110 volts, 60 hertz, one phase, 1/3 horse. You saw in there, giant motors in there. Spindle is moving 5,000 RPM. I mentioned that, I think, already. The machine too itself is 110 pounds, so it's pretty heavy to get up on the bench. So that's everything I can say about this machine. Is it worth it? I would say yeah, because I've been able to do quite a bit of things so far. And like I said, future videos, I'll start showing how to do things as I figure them out.